and welcome back to Take This TV, the television book club podcast where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and talk about it with our friends in the fandom. That's you! Hello! I'm Carmen Askernes. I'm joined by the one and only Aaron Fusco, America's best friend. Hello, Aaron.
What up, everybody?
That was cool. It was like you're kind of fading away, you know?
Yeah, I got sucked into an alternate dimension at the end there.
Oh, no. We'll never see her again.
Yeah, although this week is only an episode or one of a television program.
That's true. This week we're breaking the mold a little bit, watching just episode 9 of Arcane, finishing out the season.
I'd love to watch episode 10, but it doesn't exist.
Not yet. I'm excited to see what happens next. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, episode 9, I haven't seen episode 8 yet, or episode 1.
Huh.
Well, friends, lucky for you, we have 8 other episodes, so listen to those and catch up, and we'll wait for you to come back.
Yeah, watch the 8 episodes of Arcane, listen to the 4 episodes of this podcast, and then come back here.
That's right, yeah.
Math is hard.
It sure is. Welcome back.
Welcome back to math.
Welcome back to math. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare.
3, it's a magic number.
So, you want to hit us with the episode recap from our good friends?
I don't know, it's bittersweet. This is our last Arcane recap from my Netflix writers friends.
Oh, hopefully there'll be more.
Well, hopefully. I'm waiting for that season 2. If you're listening to this in the future and season 2 already exists, I can't wait to be there with you.
Open a portal so we can join you.
Future Aaron to be watching it and enjoying it. Okay, episode recap. Season 1, episode 9. Perilously close to war, the leaders of Piltover and Zaun reach an ultimatum. But a fateful standoff changes both cities forever.
I gotta say, that's probably the most, yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm close to war? I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, we pick up this episode right where episode 8 ends with
child murder.
Child murder. And, that is a declaration of war, right? Vi and Jace go into the Undercity and literally just beat up a bunch of people.
Yeah, and Jace killed a kid.
And Jace murders a child because he has never been in a battle before and somehow thought that he was capable of wielding a weapon that is untested and unproven that uses experimental magic technology.
Yeah, and then immediately after that scene, Jace is essentially like, you know what? Now that I'm here facing the consequences of my actions, I don't want anything to do with this anymore.
Yeah, he's like, actually, it sucks when kids die. And Vi is like, yes, but you're only upset now because you got your hands dirty and you watched this kid die. So many other kids have been dying because of neglect from the upper city. You're just upset now and want to stop because this is the first time that you are up close and personal. I lived here the whole time. And Jason's like, yeah, but it kind of sucks, doesn't it?
This is hard.
I don't like it when I kill a kid. And Vi's like, I don't like it when any kids die.
Vi lays out the facts. There's a secret part of me that was hoping that they would fight because I was like, Jace is about to catch those hands.
They really squared up like they were going to, but I think he wins an honorary good decision by backing down from that fight.
Yeah. And then from there, we kind of jump around. Let's just kind of jump around a bit. We know that Mel's mom has kind of been in the city. I guess you could say she's vacationing.
Drinking weird lobsters.
And she warns Mel that the person who killed her brother is still a threat. And so she tries to tell Mel that Mel needs to get control over Hex Tech and then come back with her mom.
Yeah.
So Mel's kind of trying to weigh this decision. My personal theory is that Mel's mom killed the brother and there is no other person.
Interesting.
Yeah, when she was like, oh, somebody killed your brother. I was like, it was you, wasn't it? It was totally you. You did.
Interesting.
And maybe the people of the city or whatever don't like her or think she's a tyrant. And maybe that's why she's trying to get Mel to come back. To be like, oh, look, it's Mel. You love her. And I'm going to secretly be in charge in the shadows. I don't know. I'm projecting. We'll see what happens. None of that's in the episode.
No, that's just Carmen theorizing. All we know is what she tells us, which is that somebody has killed Mel's brother, and they don't think that's enough. What we hear from her is that they killed the brother because of a slight that she had done. It wasn't about the brother. It was to send a message to her. And so now she is also worried. She was like, they don't think they're satisfied with that message. So you're in danger and everyone's in danger and we need Hex Tech for us to defend ourselves. And Mel tries to put in, like, this is when I think we see that Mel does care for Jace.
Yes, definitely.
In a real way. And also at the end of the episode as well, when she takes off her Medarda crest of the ring, she is all in on Piltover.
With Jace.
Which, like, all right. All right.
To each their own, yeah.
Whatever does it for you, girl, but I think you could do better.
Elsewhere in Piltover, Victor is sort of having a realization that no matter how desperately he wants to save himself, his experiments are not great because it cost Summer, I believe it was.
Was her name Summer? I thought it was Sky.
Sky, yes, sorry. You're right. It was Sky. It cost Sky her life. And he reads Sky's love letter, which I think is super cute. She's like, I gotta shoot my shot, you know? Hey. It was really tragic and sad because Sky was sweet. And now she's dead.
In the 4 seconds that she had lines, yeah, we liked her.
True. Well, I mean, we saw them as kids, but yeah, we don't really know. But yeah, so she's dead, and then Victor falls over. It seems like he has some connection to the Hex Core now after what he did.
So we already know that it feeds on blood magic or life or whatever, and it seems like it ate Sky. It fed on all of her life force to, like, half transform him. But it's not complete, right? So he's half dark crystal energy magic.
He's half dark crystal now, yeah.
Yeah, he's half of Jim Henson's dark crystal.
So that's bad. And then elsewhere.
Wait. Can we just follow the Victor through line for a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
He, like, obviously feels bad about this. He reads her love letter. Well, it was a love letter, but it also wasn't. She was like, you inspired me to do science, and, like, I think we could do good together, and, like, that. Ugh. Tragic, yeah. It sort of does, not that I think that a woman should die for man pain, which is literally what this was.
She did get fridged, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, it was the wake-up call, I think. Both Victor and Jace have the same wake-up call of, I think we've done too much. And we see that when Victor goes to sit in his sad boy spot, and he doesn't tell anyone Sky dies, I guess, and just gets rid of her ashes himself, which is like, I don't know. We don't have time for that. Yeah, we don't have time for that in this episode, I guess. But, like, did you tell anyone she died? Okay, Victor.
Covering up her murder, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does, right? Like, I don't know.
I didn't think about it like that, but that's a good point, yeah.
If she had family, they should have her ashes, but he gets rid of the evidence. But whatever, okay.
And, like, the dump where he likes to hang out, yeah.
Yeah, in his, like, weird dump area. And then in a mirror of the scene from earlier in the season, we see Jace interrupt Victor's suicide attempt, right? Because Victor's about to throw himself into the river after Sky's ashes, basically. He's contemplating, at least. Maybe not quite as, like, Jace, it was very clear. Victor was, like, psyching himself up to do it, right? And then Jace, in pure oblivious Jace fashion, is just like, hey, what's up? Am I interrupting you? Whatever. Like, doesn't know.
Doesn't he, like, start talking about himself also?
Yeah, he's like, oh, so glad I found you. I actually wanted to talk to you about my feelings. Hey, actually, Victor, I've been looking everywhere for you. Weird place you got here. What's up? Hey, I got stuff I want to talk to you about.
Oh, Jace. You're like the mayor now. Or whatever.
Just, okay, buddy. Yes, as silly as that is, they both had that moment of, like, Jace killed a kid with his tech, and Victor killed Sky with his attempt to harness this, and they both agree that they want to pull the plug on hex cores. Victor has this really great line. He said, in pursuit of great, we failed to do good.
Yeah.
I loved that. It
good
was so
stuff. Good. Quality. Top shelf.
And then we follow that through to, which, like, right at the very end, we see that Jace is ready to make the deal with Silco. He was so ready to go to war with Silco and be like, he'll never listen to peace talks. We gotta bash him with my magic hands. And he's done a complete 180. And he's like, I'm ready to bargain now. I
love that scene with Jace and Silco because, you know, I love when they have, like, Silco doing gangster stuff. And I love how he tells Jace, like, oh, so you attacked me and now you're trying to, like, ask for peace. And so obviously you're scared. And it's like, man, finally somebody, like, sees Jace for, like, who he is or whatever. It's like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing and he's kind of making things worse.
Yes, but Silco says that he's shown your hand, boy.
Yeah.
You're scared. But Jace goes on to say, yes, but not for us. For you. True Jace fashion of being like, my beautiful technology, I'm so brilliant, you'll all die. Like, it was so easy to kill that kid. We would massacre you all. And so I'm scared of becoming a mass murderer for all of you people. So, like, Silco understands, but misunderstands the situation.
I also love that Jace offers the piece to Silco, and essentially Silco has an opportunity to get everything that he's worked for, but it's going to cost him Jinx/Powder.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I love that they kind of like, I think it took a while, but they kind of like set up some kind of actual conflict for Silco of like something he would have to really consider. It's not a secret that like, I think Jinx, specifically Jinx, because not when she's Powder, but specifically when she's Jinx is my least favorite part of the show. And now like after she's all juiced up, she's kind of like this weird specter that kind of lurks in the shadows. And like in the most comic book fashion ever, Silco is by Vander's grave and he's monologuing about this choice that he has to make between his dream and Powder.
Oh, brother, we could have it all. Daughters really will be your undoing. Like, all right, Silco.
It's like, how have you been the crime boss of the Undercity for apparently a long time because they all think you're an older guy, even though you look the same? How have you been a crime boss for so long? Just like talking about your plans out in the open. Come on. Rookie mistake. But anywho, Jinx overhears him, and that's what kind of triggers later events.
I think we can get into Vi and Jinx because that is honestly like the central conflict of this whole season is Imagine Dragons' enemies. And how Vi and Jinx shouldn't be enemies, but are, right? Like, their relationship struggle is really what starts a lot of this. Not that they're responsible, obviously, for the tensions of classism, but they are the powder keg that exists, that sets off a lot of what happens. And ultimately, at the end as well, we can talk about the creepy tea party.
Yes. So you mentioned before, I said that Jinx is like a manic pixie dream girl, and you were like, no, she's more like Harley Quinn. And I think that this feels like, somebody out there will probably know, but this feels like a scene from Death of the Family, I think, is the Batman series or whatever. It's like, after the Joker, he cut his face off and he like stapled his face to his head, and then like he had all the Bat family tied up, and then he like cut Alfred's face off or something, and or like somebody's head was like in a serving tray. It was supposed to be like, oh, if Batman and the Joker had their final fight, this is what it would be like or whatever.
They had their final fight, they'd kiss. Get out of here.
It essentially ended up with them killing each other or whatever, but it was like really, really dark and emotional and all that kind of stuff. So this was definitely giving me those vibes. Hot take from me. I was going to save it for later, but I guess we're here now. I don't like that scene. Actually, I think this whole episode is probably my least favorite out of all the episodes.
Yeah.
And I really don't like the like dinner scene. I just feel like it's really campy and cheesy. And I think the team found a lot of really artful ways to have heavy subject matter and have violence in that scene without getting an R rating, essentially. But at the same time, I was trying to think about this because I was like, Aaron's going to call me out on this and be like, explain, elaborate.
I always want you to explain and elaborate.
I think one of the things that I've always had a hard time with is a choice for Powder, Jinx or whatever, to be like, you changed and now I've changed too and here's to our new relationship. Like, that doesn't feel earned because Vi has always, since she's been an adult, has always been like, I'm here for you. I'm sorry I couldn't be here. And even though she doesn't necessarily say it, of like, oh, well, Marcus kidnapped me and I've been in jail for like 7 years or whatever the heck, and so I couldn't come find you. I always feel like they've never had in their adult lives like a conflict. Like, it's always been like, oh, well, Silco is manipulating Jinx, or like Jinx is struggling to overcome her trauma. And I just kind of wish that like the fake out is done with like the tray of like, oh, it's not her head, I'm not that crazy or whatever. So, okay, whatever. I feel like the stuff with Caitlyn feels a little forced. And I just kind of wish that it would have just been the two of them. Because I feel like we never, like Vi is never like, oh, my sister is gone. She's always trying to save Jinx. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I feel like, oh man, well, I feel like if Vi was like, you hurt too many people, or like you've gone too far or something. We're at odds for our ideologies or whatever the reason, that would be different. And it's like, okay, well, you're not my sister anymore. Things have changed. But she's like, I love you. I'm trying to save you. Like, I don't understand why.
But I think that is the conflict, right? It's because it's tragic in that Jinx can't be rational about this. You're right. Like, Vi has never been like, I hate what you've become. Like, she's very clearly been afraid of Jinx. She has tried to stop her from doing violence, is upset at who she has become, who her sister has become. And I think Jinx knows that. That's not a secret. I think that's the real tragedy of this scene, is that Jinx perceives the situation, it's blown so out of proportion. It is so unrealistic to her that she doesn't know what the truth is anymore. That's the tragedy in it. Because I was going to talk to you about this too, where I was like, I don't know that Jinx made a choice to kill Silco. Did she specifically choose to kill Silco and then chose to be Jinx anyway because she felt guilty about it? Or did she accidentally kill him? It didn't seem like she knew in that moment what she wanted to do, necessarily.
Yeah, I feel like that was also another problem I have with the scene of like, so Silco picks up the gun and he's about to kill Vi, and then Jinx shoots him. Well, shoots, because she's like, no, don't, or whatever. I always read that as like she was saving Vi. But on this rewatch, I feel like it's kind of subtle. Well, maybe it's not so subtle, but I feel like after she gets the injection from the doctor that saves her, her eyes are like pink or whatever.
Right.
And like normally they were blue. And so it's like all of her mental health issues, all of her trauma is heightened because of the drug that she's on or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. I always hate when they like give characters an excuse to do a bad thing. I'm like, let it be their choice. Let her choose to do that. I feel like that's more impactful if she chose to kill Silco to save Vi, or if she chose to like kidnap Caitlyn or whatever, versus like I'm in an inebriated state because of this drug, or like the forces of evil incarnate are making me do bad things that some other stories do. Like, I just always think it's better when the character chooses to do something. And I think that's why it didn't really work for me, because it didn't feel like Jinx was choosing anything. It didn't feel like Vi was choosing anything that made sense in the scene. I mean, Caitlyn and Silco are kind of consistent of like, you know, he's manipulating her and Caitlyn's like, oh, you're breaking the law, or I gotta do the right thing or whatever. So
right. But that's why I think Caitlyn has to be there. That's why I think it couldn't just be Vi and Jinx. Like, that's what ultimately makes this the like Shakespearean tragedy of like the circumstances didn't allow for them to have an honest conversation. There was never time because the forces of the city were at work around them. There was no way for these two sisters to reconcile. And that's why that showdown couldn't be between them, because there's always people in between them of like, if Caitlyn wasn't there, Vi doesn't have to make a choice. So Jinx tries to give her that choice of like, I feel insecure about this cop you're working with. Kill the cop and you'll show me you're loyal to me. Like, that is just indisputable proof that I watched you kill this cop. Because to her, that's how her mind works. She's like, you're choosing somebody else over me right now. And if you truly love me, you're just going to pick me, kill the cop. And Vi is like, I have morals. First of all, my girlfriend. Second of all, I can't just kill the cop.
You know, Jinx. That's actually interesting, because I always thought about it from the perspective of like Jinx being like, oh, you love somebody else and not just me, or like you're choosing somebody over me, like you said. I never thought about it from the angle of like, well, she's a cop. And obviously, like, that's not the life that we live. Or even more so of like, she's a top worlder and that's not who we are. And you're choosing a top worlder over me. I never thought about it like that, but that's actually really interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why she was extra upset. Like, I think she would have been upset if Caitlyn was anyone from Piltover and not from Zaun. But that was why she was extra upset, is that she's like, she is specifically choosing the enforcer, the people who killed our own parents, over me, her sister. And like, it doesn't make sense to us because we are rational people who aren't mentally traumatized in the way that Jinx is and who aren't on trauma-inducing or enhancing drugs, right? Like, we're not in that state of mind. I don't think it's an excuse for her either. Like, I don't think you can excuse all of her actions because of it. Like, cool motive, still murder. You've killed a lot of people. You don't get an oops, I wasn't in my right mind. You still did it. You still have to atone for it. But that's what makes that moment to me so like powerful. It's just like, there's a lot in that. And like Vi is like, this isn't the, like, let's talk about this. We can leave. Let's remove ourselves from this situation. I just want you, but I'm not willing to compromise. I'm not willing to go as far as you, basically.
That's really interesting. I feel like it's like subtext and literal text. And I feel like for me, maybe I just wasn't picking up on the subtext and the literal text wasn't doing it for me. For example, spoilers for the Star Wars prequels. In episode 1, 2, and 3, they kind of set up that Anakin, well, specifically in 3, it's like, okay, Anakin's like kind of rash. He doesn't really listen to Obi-Wan. Like, he sees Obi-Wan more like a brother than the master. And Palpatine's manipulating him, grooming him. And then essentially he feels like Palpatine's the only one who cares about what's going on in his life because Yoda is dismissive. And so when he has that showdown with Obi-Wan at the end, I was invested in that because I was like, Anakin, what he's doing is messed up and he's killed a lot of people and he killed these kids or whatever, which is super bad. But at the same time, Obi-Wan is like being a bit of a hypocrite because he's like only Sith deal in absolutes, but he's like, either you absolutely are on our side or you absolutely are evil with the Chancellor.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also one of those things where it's like, well, why don't you just be like, dude, my wife's going to die. I need your help. Lots of stuff. But I don't know. I just guess I didn't understand what it was that Jinx wanted or needed. That wasn't super clear. And so it felt just like she was doing stuff because of the drugs or because she's supposed to be this like loose cannon that Silco had.
Yeah, but she's always like, there is a method to her madness. She doesn't necessarily do things just cuz, although she is impulsive in doing things. Like, when she goes off on her own to do things, she always did them with this is for Silco's mission. Oh, I blew up a thing to distract people so I could steal you this hex core. You didn't ask me to do it, but this is for your mission. They've got a new technology, we should use it. She does sort of cause problems with that Shimmer shipment in the beginning, too, where she goes
murders
rogue.
a lot of people.
Where she murders a lot of people. But again, it's like the firelights are disrupting your shipping. I'll take care of it. She doesn't necessarily do a good job. Like, there is a method to her. She's not just like, wouldn't it be funny to kill someone for laughs? She's not the Joker, necessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
But she is an Anakin character. That's why it's so sad to me and why I get mad. Every time I rewatch this, I'm like, I want a different ending. Like, I want it to go differently this time, even though it won't. Because, like, the system failed her. Her world and, like, her environment failed her at every point. And, like, it's not necessarily her fault. She has chosen to do bad things to survive and because people in her life told her that was the right thing to do. But ultimately, it's a story of the system failing her, just like the Jedi failed Anakin.
They did. I mean, I love tragic heroes. I love the tragic hero story. It's so compelling every time. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's just why it was such a bummer. Also, like I said before, we talked about before, like, hats off to the people who made this show. When you're making something with established characters,
yeah,
there's always going to be guidelines that you have to work within. For all we know, they could have been like, look, Jinx cannot be good. But no matter what happens,
right,
like, they always have to be at odds or whatever. We don't know what kind of stuff they were dealing with. So I think that even though that scene didn't really vibe for me, I think the show is great. I think the stories is great. I love the arcs of the characters.
Yeah.
I just feel like that scene would have hit a little harder for me if I understood more of, like, why Jinx was making the choices that she was making and why she was kind of turning her back, essentially, on Vi.
Yeah, I mean, 7 years of being brainwashed and being traumatized by being the reason that your father figure, your brothers, and your sister disappear, right? Like,
I also feel like, I've been harping on Jinx a lot, but I also feel like Vi's being a little Jace in this scene of, like, your sister kidnaps you, and you're in this room, and she has these mannequins of your dead brothers. And she has you all tied up around a table like a family dinner. But she doesn't have anything for your dad, and she has the guy who's been grooming her at the other end of the table.
Did she not have a photo?
Oh, right. She did have the family photo. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, and she's like, choose for me. Am I going to be Jinx or Powder? It's like, your sister needs help, dude. Like, she's asking you for help. And Vi just keeps kind of like making it about herself of like, oh, like, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to abandon you. And I feel like she's not recognizing, like, my sister is in trouble and she needs help.
Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that a child spent the last 7 years in prison?
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think maybe.
The emotional intelligence she developed in that.
Yeah, I think maybe neither of them have ever had access to a therapist, so perhaps both of their
But you know who probably did? Caitlin. So really this is all her fault.
It's Caitlin's, yeah.
When she gets untied, she's like, I'm not going to help this family work through their problems. I'm going to fill your sister with hot lead. And I'm going to uphold the law.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
She doesn't try to arrest her, though. She just says, put the gun down.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just goofing. She's just trying to de-escalate the situation.
With a gun is not necessarily the right answer, but still.
It's not a great way to start a conversation, yeah.
I think it's very interesting of, like, also, the final confrontation basically just happens in Jinx's mind. Everyone's tied up for the most part. Like, the decision for this entire city's future comes down to that moment. And I think what you're missing, and hopefully what we'll get in the season 2, is Vi realizing her sister is gone. I think that's the moment that this whole season was leading up to, was solidifying them as enemies. Now, I don't think the next time she sees her, Vi will be willing to punch her face in. Maybe she will. But, like, I think we're seeing the moment where Powder chooses to be Jinx forever, and Vi has to, like, come to terms with the fact that the sister that she knew is no longer that same person. Because Jinx chooses to use the Hex Tech to do terrorism.
She does. Which, again, back to my theorizing, I feel like Victor's new magic powers or whatever are probably going to save him and Jace and the other characters that are in the game that can't die.
Do you think Mel has Spidey sense? It sure seemed like she noticed that the missile
like, oh,
was
something's outside the window.
Maybe she heard it. It was a big rocket. She could have heard it. But the way that the animation happened, I was like, is that Spidey sense?
She actually took off the power dampener, which was the ring, unlocked her spider powers. And she's going to swing out of there with Jason.
Yeah, but Victor explodes.
I do think it would be interesting if most, if not all, of the council dies.
Yeah.
Especially Caitlyn's parents. At least her mom.
Yeah.
That kind of puts a wedge in her relationship with Vi. And I wonder if she would feel like that's Vi's fault. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. It is, but it isn't also because even if she never found Vi, Jinx was still the one she was chasing, and Jinx could easily have done this either way, but still.
Oh, yeah. Hondo P. I don't think it's Vi's fault, but I'm just saying that, like, storyline of, like, oh, something bad happened to me because of somebody you know, and now I'm mad at you. Like, I can see that happening.
Get out of here. That's boring and trite.
I hope they don't do that, but I'm sure they won't. They weren't tropey with this season, so I'm sure they won't do that.
I'm interested to see the council all agreed to give Zahn independence right before they get exploded. And also, right before Silco, the man that they agreed to give control of Zahn to, died. That's what Jace said, too, when Silco was like, you can have me, just don't take Jinx. And he was like, we can't make a deal with a snake and then cut its head off. And like, uh-oh, that's exactly what just happened.
I have no idea what's going to happen next season, and I love that. I mean, I think that's really exciting of where all the characters end up. I also think that I was a little sad to see Silco die because I feel like he's a great villain. But I think that was a good way for him to go. Yes.
I think that what we can be sure about is that everyone who is a champion in the game League of Legends survives.
Probably.
Oh, we didn't even talk about
Echo
and Heimerdinger, yeah.
Yeah, they're buds now.
And they're also part of it.
They're also here. Essentially, Heimerdinger goes down to where the firelights are hanging out and sees that, like, oh, man, but you know, poor people are people, too.
How did you build all this? Oh, well, we know science, too. Incredible. I never thought that you dumb idiots who live in the slums could ever learn science. That's not what he says. That's unfair.
That's exciting. Like, Heimerdinger, like, is bonding with Echo, and they're going to do some new sciencey stuff together down there.
Yeah, and you see, like, the little gadget that he had created starts working, and that, honestly, I think that's where Heimerdinger needs to be, in little utopia with the firelights. I'm glad Echo got home. We were worried about him. It's wild to me that this is the shortest episode of the season, and it had so much to do.
So much happened. We also forgot about, what's the dude's name with the jaw?
Oh, yeah, the coup attempt. Ooh, I forgot his name.
The second coup.
Finn?
Coup
maybe?
2, yeah, Finn. Finn doing his coup 2.
Coup, the second time.
Coup, the sequel. So he thinks that he has, was it Savika?
Savika in his back pocket.
He thinks he has Savika in his back pocket. I do love that when Savika kills Finn, I think that's his name. I don't remember if that's his name or not. I'm sorry, y'all. When she kills him, I do love the, like, brief moment where Silco is like, oh, man. You can see how worried he is on his face.
Silco didn't know. That's my favorite part We should have talked about this earlier. That is my favorite part of this episode. Silco didn't know if Savika was choosing him or Finn's coup attempt.
This was the first episode where he was a character, I feel like. Where it's like he's not in control. He's dealing with a bunch of forces that are kind of over his head and like a lot of luck and stuff that his luck eventually runs out by the end. But that scene was really great. You know, he's such a bad dude. After they kill Finn or whatever, and he tells the other gangster lady, he's like, I would kill your son for this, but we're already ahead on that. And I was like, that's messed up, man.
Yeah. That guy has taken some improv classes. He really knows how to yes and a situation. He's like, I thought I was about to die, but I am ready with a one-liner. Don't worry about it. Zip,
that's why you needed to pause for a moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Dramatic pause.
I also wrote down an earlier line that he said, too. They were like, we lost our sheriff. And he's like, we'll buy another. I was like, geez, Silco.
That's good stuff, yeah. I guess Savika might be the leader of the crime family now.
Uh-huh.
So
maybe
exciting.
They got someone down there. But she lost an arm. We got the very good fight sequence between Savika and Vi, where they do punching and cutting with the knife.
With Vi's comically large fists.
Her Hellboy fists.
Her sock and boppers. And Vi is getting the smackdown laid on her. And then goes dad. Right when you need him in the fourth quarter, he shows up. And he's like, they need you, Vi. Your sister needs you.
Yeah.
And then she lands it. There was one part, though, where Savika stabs through the gauntlet. And I'm like, does she stab through Vi's arm? And Vi looks kind of unfazed.
Yeah. She didn't because she takes that. That's the gauntlet that breaks. And then she takes that one off.
Okay. But like it comes out on the other side.
I agree. It looks like her arm got stabbed. But when she takes the gauntlet off, there's no blood on her arm wrap.
Yeah. Which was what I was going to say next. I'm like, if she got stabbed, where's the blood?
You know what I also hate is when people get punched and they spit out a tooth. One, you have a finite amount of teeth. You can't be spitting them out. And two, she wasn't missing any of them.
It was one of the ones in the back.
It was a back tooth, okay. It was a wisdom tooth. She had to have it pulled anyway, so it was fine. It's fine, actually.
You do have a finite amount of teeth.
I hate that in shows and cartoons where they're like, look how tough I am. Puh, spit a tooth out. I'm like, no, you need that.
It doesn't grow back.
Put that in a baggie. Bring it to your dentist.
Put it back in. Maybe.
Time out on the fight. Go call a dentist. You need your teeth.
If you got hit that hard, it probably broke your jaw or something. You probably have to have an ice pack wrapped around your chin.
Yeah.
But it's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. But yeah, it's something that I hate in all movies and TV shows where they're like, look how strong this punch was. Her tooth fell out. I was like, no, put that back in. I don't want that. It belongs in your jaw.
I do think it's interesting that twice now, Savika and Vi have fought, and Vi did not kill her. Well, I guess the first time Vi got stabbed, but this time
Vi
she
tried.
didn't kill her.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
She just ripped her arm off.
She did. I thought she was dead. Well, she threw her into the machine, and I was like, is she dead? It's unclear.
Yeah. She ripped her arm off and threw her into a machine. We don't know that she wasn't going to take a breather and then kill her, because she gets knocked unconscious at the end of that.
That's true. Yeah.
So maybe she would have, but that's when she gets kidnapped.
Because she rolls the thing in the beginning when she first gets in the bar, and I was like, is that somebody's head? And they don't show it. And so I was like, oh, she must have knocked the other guy's head off, one of the guys outside. They cut to like one of the guys outside. He's like knocked out with the helmet open. And I was like, I understand this needs to be okay for kids also, but that man is dead.
I think she stole his helmet, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like that man is dead.
My favorite is the guy who puts on the punching music before the fight starts. He goes
and
to
then,
the
like,
jukebox.
doesn't notice Vi standing next to him.
Yeah. Goes to the jukebox, finds the one record that shows a punch on the cover, and then puts that vinyl on and does not notice a fight is about to happen. Incredible.
Yeah. What else happened? Was there anything else that we missed? We talked about Silco going to Vander's shrine. What other characters are there? Who's left?
I think we talked about most of it. In that fight, though, I did want to say one thing of, like, going into the final showdown at the dinner party. The show, I think, did a great job during that fight when Vander is talking to her. Like, obviously, that is Vi's subconscious. It is not actually the ghost of Vander that is there. And the fact that he says, she still needs you, they all do. Clearly, in that moment, Vi still thinks Jinx is redeemable. And I think that that's what we're supposed to know going into that final confrontation, is that Vi is ride or die for her sister still.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last thing that we need to do is to finish out the season with our Bad Decision Olympics tracker. Some of you out there might be thinking, now it's been a few episodes. Y'all haven't done the thirst tracker.
Yeah.
And honestly, y'all, it's really just Caitlin and Vi off the charts, and then Jace and Mel, which I will say, Jace and Mel have a more realistic relationship than some characters in an animated show, where it seems like they've been dating for a while, and now they start to develop feelings for each other. So I'll move them from negative 10 out of 5 to a 3 out of 5 for me. Oh my
God, they moved to positive?
Yeah.
Fine. Here's the thing, I'm not thirsty for them, but I guess if it does something for you, I'll allow it.
They got some bonus points because of the swirl, so yeah.
I don't know. I think Jace and Victor are the same person. They're mirror images of each other, and I think that they love each other, and that's fine. Whatever.
I'm here for that, but until it happens...
Yeah, one of them's about to become some sort of crystal creation, I'm sure, so whatever.
Some kind of, like, void god or something, yeah.
Yeah, void god.
So, the Bad Decision Olympics.
Yeah, what's up?
Where are we at, Aaron? Lay it on us.
How's this me? You have to help me, too. Who do you think made a gold medal bad decision?
At first, I was like, who's Mom Medarda? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's the mom.
Yeah, it's the mother from the Medarda family.
We looked up her name last time, and I forget what it was.
Nobody knows her name. They don't say it.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then we shouldn't say it, then. It might be a spoiler.
I don't know that that's true. Ambessa, because this is from the wiki. Her name is Ambessa Medarda.
Ambessa. Ambessa than you? Like I am better than you?
Yeah,
like
no, I got it.
No? Okay. Sometimes you gotta try and just throw it out there. You gotta see where it lands, you know?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see how you got there.
All right, so who is honorary mentions this time? Oh, let's recap where we ended last time just real quick. So gold tier last time we had Silco and Vector. Silver medal we had Jace and Vi. Bronze, we have Marcus and Jinx. Honorary mentions, we had Heimerdinger, Mel, and Mom Medarda.
Okay, here's the thing. Silco would be dumb. Oh, I had a question for you. I'm going to put some stuff in here and we can talk about it, but I had a question for you. Do you think Silco would have given Jinx up if given the opportunity?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do think that he gets on the tracker because he decided, I should go to my dead friend's shrine and hash out my feelings in public.
Yeah.
Everybody just needs therapy, honestly.
I'm taking Marcus off. He's dead. He doesn't get it.
He is dead. Anymore. He can't make any bad decisions because he's no longer alive.
Yeah, okay. I think gold medal bad decisions, Silco and Jinx.
100%. Silco's decision leads to his death.
Correct. It leads to his death, leads to just like both parts of the city are about to go to war. Like he's kicked this all off. Silco's, all of his evil bad decisions have led to this moment, and I think he made some bad decisions. Not just from him being evil. I know that gave him honorary mentions before, but this is all sort of his fault, and we see that here. Jinx chooses. She makes a bad decision. She chooses to start a war between Piltover and Zaun, and I think that puts her on the gold medal. She tries to do a terrorist attack. I'm going to put Caitlin and Vi. I'm going to put them in bronze medal. I think they handled that picnic very poorly.
I have a question.
Uh-oh, what's up?
I would like to make a case to move Vi to silver tier.
Interesting. Explain.
In the past, Vi has caught those hands, fighting Savika alone and going off on her own. And she gets upset when Jace smartens up and she can't manipulate him anymore and then runs off on her own. So I feel like instead of going back to Caitlin, who in her mind, she just left and she's like, go back home, Cupcake, because I'm hardcore or whatever. Instead of going for help, she tries to go it herself alone.
Yeah.
And because of this bad decision, she ends up getting kidnapped, which leads to the whole party scene.
I think that's a bronze medal decision because, in my opinion, I don't think that she could reasonably go to anyone else.
You don't think she could go to Caitlin?
I don't think she could go to Caitlin because where they left it was her being like, her realizing that they are from two different worlds and the things that she needs to do are not right for Caitlin. And it is a little bit of like, I'm making this decision for you, but also like, she knows what she's about to do is dangerous and bad and doesn't want anything bad to happen to Caitlin. I don't think she reasonably had anyone else to turn to. maybe she could have gone to find Echo, but like in the time frame we're dealing with, I don't think reasonably she had time. I do still think it's a bad decision, but I don't think it's a Silver bad decision.
True. She also doesn't know that Echo is still alive.
That's true. That's true. She didn't know where he went.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
And I think Caitlin also gets bronze because she was kidnapped, but then she escalated a situation by adding another gun, a secondary gun, into a fight.
You know what will fix the situation with guns? More guns.
A bigger gun, actually.
A bigger gun, yeah.
And when Vi told her to put it down, she wouldn't. Vi's like, everyone put your guns down, and Caitlin didn't. And I think that in the moment, it makes sense why she made those decisions. I just don't think that they were good decisions.
I also just personally, I feel like when she got the jump on Jinx in the quick draw, just shoot her in the leg, shoot her in the arm, shoot the gun out of her hand. Like, you don't have to kill her, just like in the fight.
She did have a heavy machine gun. That's not really one for precision damage.
That's a good point, as we learned with what happened to Silco.
Correct, yeah. I agree with your point, and if she had a pistol, I would say that she should have maybe done a leg shot. But when you have a heavy machine gun, I don't think you really have that sort of option.
In season 2, Vi needs to teach Caitlin how to fight the old fisticuffs.
Yeah, it's going to be very steamy. Very spicy scene.
They just went up higher on the thirst tracker. So yes, what about Silver?
Silver medals, I'm putting Jason Victor up in here. Jason's making big boy decisions, and he doesn't have a brain. And Victor, 1, tried to kill himself, and 2, didn't tell anyone about the murder that happened.
Victor covered up a murder.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, okay, so maybe that's a gold decision. Covering up a murder.
No. I think he got gold last week for getting Skye killed. I think Silver is covering up the murder. I still think Gold Star bad decisions is choosing to do terrorism. I think Victor covering up a murder is a silver medal in bad decisions.
True. I'd like to make a case for Jace being gold tier. The reason being is because he essentially agrees Silco isn't the worst, but he is a crime lord. And he's essentially like, this crime lord is going to have a sovereign, I don't know if that'd be a state or a city or whatever, but essentially he's going to be able to rule over these people. This like known drug dealer and crime lord.
Yeah.
Because the other people don't care enough.
Because it's too hard. It's too hard for us to. Here's the thing. Move him up there. I don't care. I'm not going to defend Jace. I like Jace as a character, and I don't think he's a bad guy, but sometimes he's hard to watch, Last week we had Heimerdinger, Mel, and Bessa Medarda here on Honorary Mentions. I don't know that there are Honorary Mentions this week. Heimerdinger and Echo didn't really do anything.
I would like to say Mom Medarda as Honorary Mention because I feel like she's scheming.
Okay.
Because she's trying to manipulate Mel. We don't know why.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's fine. I think that Mel, this episode, didn't have a lot to do, and honestly didn't make bad decisions other than being in love with Jace, which I don't think we can really... fault her
Roasted.
for. I know. And then I don't think Heimerdinger and Echo really did anything. It was more to close out their story. They didn't really make decisions.
I will say, just like, small side note, unrelated to the Olympics, I was busting out laughing when they had the scene of all the counselors jumping out of their seat. They're so upset. And then there's like the robot guy shaking the papers. I don't know why that was so funny, but I just busted out laughing at that. And also, I don't know what the heck Jace must have said, but then everybody is like unanimously like, part of my outburst, I now agree. Now that Mel's on board, I also agree.
Yeah.
So something must have happened off screen.
They had a very spirited discussion. And now, interior council room. Jace makes a very charismatic speech, apparently, but we didn't write it, so...
Yeah, insert charismatic speech. Awesome. So to recap our Bad Decision Olympics, the final one, well, for season 1 of Arcane. At the honorary mentions, we have Ambessa Medarda, Mom, bronze medal, Caitlin and Vi, silver medal, our boy Victor covering up a murder. Mm-hmm. Mel's mom specifically, yes. And then bringing it home with the gold, we have Silco, Jinx, and Jace. SJJ, wrapping it out. I do have a question for you, Erin, before we kind of wrap things up here, though.
Yeah, anything.
Now that we've rewatched and talked about the season, do you still love this show?
I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I love it more because I have to defend it to you. Because, Carmen, do you still love it?
Well, see, Erin, here's the thing. The people might be surprised to hear this, but I actually do still love this show.
Okay.
I think you can love something and still have criticisms about it. We can all strive to be better. I think that the show is amazing. The characters are great. The writing is so fantastic. And also, I'm sure the show wasn't the first, but it got a lot of mainstream attention. And I think that this show and other shows like it that are doing super well are kind of showing a general audience to like, oh, animation can be drama. It can be more than just comedy. And so I also love this show for what it's doing for the animation industry as a whole.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say it brought people to play League, and I would say that that's a point against it, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure that's also true.
It taught people the joy of video games.
Video games. Well, if you love video games, you just love hanging out with us. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. Let us know what you thought. We want to hear from you. Hit us up on our socials. And thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for watching, if that's a thing. And welcome to the club. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.